Hey folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to quickly check out the game Planes. This game is for 2 to 4 players for ages 14 and up, with the average play time being about 30 minutes. Just to give you a quick summary, this game is Mancala with cards in an airport. While you wrap your head around that, let me just quickly set the game up so I can show you how it's played. Okay, so here's a quick look at your components and what game setup might look like for you. Each player will choose a color, receive the cubes of that color, and they'll put them on the P1, P2, P3, and P4 spaces. They're also going to take the plane of their color and put it in the matching numbered spot. So you've got P1 here and G1 over here. So you've got red cubes and a red plane. The green plane is on G4 because the green player here is on the P4 space. So you're going to match the numbers up. Now, if you've only got like 2 or 3 people playing, you're still going to put out the other colors because basically you're going to want to be able to move these cubes around, and you won't be able to do that with less cubes on the field. So they'll sort of act like neutral cubes of a sort, which is what these black ones are. So each player is going to put 5 cubes of their color onto one of these P spaces, put the plane in the matching G spaces, and you're also going to put 2 neutral cubes on the empty spaces. Now, there are some points of interest on the board, like you've got a cup here, you've got like a wine glass here. The game comes with a bunch of these points of interest token, and these can be used to customize your game. Like there are some blank ones here, so you can cover up this cup here if you want to, and then you can use this cup token and maybe put it somewhere else. So the manual does suggest making sure that both sides are even if you decide to do this, but feel free to experiment at your leisure. Now, these planes are 2-sided, so if there is a player occupying this particular color, you're going to have it so that the star side is up. If this is sort of like a neutral player that isn't being played, then you'd go and reverse it and then have these 5 black cards showing. The same thing as these neutral planes here. So you're going to also shuffle this deck of cards, and each player receives 3 cards to form their starting hand. Each player receives one of these reference cards. They look like an airplane ticket, but it just basically outlines what you can do. Action, may play 1 card, move, goal, and so on and so forth. So if you get lost on what the phases are of a turn, you can take a look at this. And you can also put these blockage cones off to the side so that they can be used during the game. You'll also want to take this little tracker here and place it here. This is your boarding tracker, and as these cubes start filling up these planes, you're going to move this tracker along like so until it gets to the end, in which case it'll signal the end of the game. Okay, so what exactly are you trying to do in this game? Well, like I was saying earlier, this game plays a lot like Mancala, only in this game, you're trying to get the cubes of your color into the plane of your color in order to score points. When a player completely fills a plane of a particular color, so if red completely fills up or green completely fills up, even if one of these neutral planes completely fill up, and it's important to note that you can fill up neutral planes too. You can put the black ones on the black, or if blue is a neutral player because no one is playing as them, you can load up cubes of their color onto that plane in order to get the special effect listed on these planes. And you'll see 2 black cards here per spot. Basically, that allows the player to draw 2 cards from the deck to add to their hand. But what you're trying to do, again, is try to get the cubes of your color into the plane of your color in order to score points. Now, on a player's turn, they'll observe 3 phases. The action phase, move phase, and the goal phase. They have to be played in that order. The action and goal phases are optional. The move phase is mandatory. During the action phase, you may play 1 card. Now, these cards have 2 parts to them. They can be played as an action card, or they can be played as a goal card, not both. Whenever you play a card as your action, you'll go ahead and discard it, but take the action, of course. Some of the actions that you can do, like gather all of your party together at one space you currently occupy. You can move twice, move any one of your party to buy a souvenir at the gift shop. There's more actions in the deck that perform, various ways. But basically, these actions will help you get around the board and get to a particular spot that you're trying to get to. So after you do that, again, you don't have to, it's optional. The next phase is the move phase. You'll take all of the cubes of one space. It doesn't matter what color they are. So if you have like black over here and blue in there, you'll just take up all the cubes and then you'll move them around the board and the arrows directed. And you're going to put one cube down per space, just like in Mancala. So you've got that, you've got that, you've got that, and you got that. Okay, and you can decide what order you put them in. So like if you had blue and black and red all on one space, you can decide what order they go in. You could put like blue, black, red, blue, whatever. I think you get the idea. So that's mandatory. You have to do that on your turn. And then finally, the last thing you can do on your turn is play a goal card. Now, these are, again, this is an optional play. You don't have to do this. But like I was saying, these cards also have a goal listed on them. And this is just an abbreviation. You can actually take a look at the manual here and see what all of these different abbreviations do, like this particular one. Any space with exactly 2 cubes consisting of your color and exactly 1 other unique color, 2 unique colors total scores 2 victory points. Any space with exactly 5 cubes, and same thing. This one over here, any space with exactly 4 neutral cubes score 3 victory points. These cubes could be multiple colors as long as all of them are neutrals, and so on and so forth. Like you've got other stuff in here. So, yeah, you're going to be either choosing these cards as actions or goals. Whenever they play as goals, you're going to put them in front of you so that when that condition is met sometime down the line, you can score points. And the number of points is listed on the very bottom right-hand corner. So this one's worth 2, this one's worth 3, this one's worth 2, and etc. And then after that, the player turn ends, and then play moves clockwise to the next player. Alright, next I just want to quickly address what these blockage cones are. And if you ever have 7 or more cubes on a particular space, let me just go ahead and set that up. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we'll go ahead and do this. Okay. So, whenever a player adds a 7th cube to a space, what they're going to do is they're going to add a blockage cone to it. Now that current player will be able to finish out their move by, placing the rest of their cubes down as normal. However, anyone taking their turn after that must stop at this space. So let's say that these cubes were here. Okay, so let's say that another player wanted to move these cubes. They'd go 1, and then they'd all stop at this location. They would not proceed as normal because this blockage cone is here. So that's just a quick note about blockage cones. Whenever this space is activated, someone picks up all of the cubes and moves around, then this blockage cone will go away. Okay, so how do you board a plane? Well, let's just go ahead and quickly set this up again. This might actually work. Okay, so let's say that it was Red's turn and he was trying to get his cube here onto this plane. Again, he'd go ahead and have the option of playing an action card, and again, those action cards help players get around, and that's what these, that's why these point of interest exist, because some of them say, like, gather all of your party together at the restroom. So again, you can customize your game setup a bit if you want to via these tokens. And on top of that, there's actually a reverse side to this board. So if you want to play in a different airport, that is possible too. But getting back to the boarding process, let's say it was Red's turn, and he wanted to try and get this cube onto this plane. To do that, he'd go ahead and put a black cube there, a black cube here, and he's got 1 left. So instead of putting it up here, he can put it off to the side like this on this G1 space, and in doing so, that allows him to board it. He'd get 5 points for doing that. Now, if you happen to board a neutral plane, let's say that it was, it doesn't matter whose turn it is. Let's just say, I'm trying to set this up. Okay, so how about this? Alright, so there's 2 black cubes and a red cube, and they're thinking about boarding one of these black cubes onto this neutral plane so that they can draw 2 cards. And to do that, they're just going to take their turn as normal, play an action if they want to, then they're going to move. So there's 1, they're going to put the red one there, and then their final one they can put on the N1 space in order to board that. And again, as the players are boarding these planes, this tracker is going to move up so that when it hits 12, the game is over. Or like I said, if any particular plane of one color fills up, that also signals the end. But again, when this last black cube lands on N1 like this instead of this space here, it can board the plane. The player that did that can draw 2 cards. You can also, again, if there's a neutral color, like say blue, blue is not playing in this game, just as an example. If you manage to get, let's do, okay, that works. Okay, so let's say that, you know, you're just trying to get blue home so that you can get 2 cards here. So you can put black here on this space, then blue over here, put it here, and then again, you can draw 2 cards because that's considered a neutral plane. One last final thing to note, a player does not draw cards at the end of their turn. The only time they actually draw a card is, again, by boarding these neutral planes, or when they have no cards left in their hand. If that happens, they'll go ahead and draw 1 card from the deck at the end of their turn. But again, the main way that you're going to try and get more cards is by boarding these neutral cubes. But players will continue taking turns until, like I was saying, this tracker reaches the end, or when one plane of one color completely fills up. At that point, the game will end, and then players will count up their points based on how many cubes they have on their plane at that time, plus any goals that they've managed to fulfill throughout the game. Whoever has the most will win. Okay, so there you have it, a very brief look at the game Planes. It's important to stress that I did not cover all of the rules found in the manual. This was just to give you a general overview so that you could see how the game was played. As far as what I thought, it's not a bad little game. I neither liked it nor disliked it. I mean, I do like the game for the fact that it's pretty customizable. Again, you've got these points of interest tokens, and you can cover up ones that are, you know, defaulted and hard-wired onto the board with these tokens here. So you can customize your experience a bit. The board has 2 sides to it, so if you tire of one side, you can flip it to the other side. I like the fact that it has that Mancala-like twist about it. It plays like Mancala, but the game adds cards, and these cards serve a dual purpose. I mean, you can play them as actions or as goals. So that gets you thinking, okay, do I really want to use this action now, or should I wait and maybe play this as a goal if I see that, you know, the board shapes itself to what the goal card is asking for? So there's a little bit of decision making there, but like I was saying, like, it didn't wow me to the point where I had to play it again after I was done with it. I think it's a good, solid game. I don't know how I'd make it better, honestly. I mean, it's a family-friendly, casual game. This game reminded me of Trains at the start. Like, as soon as I got the box, I was like, oh, Planes. This is a take on Trains by the same company, AEG. And I was like, okay, so I wonder if this game plays anything like Trains, because the box art is relatively the same. The name of the game is similar to just, you know, in the previous game it was just called Trains. This one is just called Planes. So I'm like, okay, so is this just the same game as Trains, but, you know, with planes instead of trains? And I know, sorry, I'm planes and trains, oh my. Okay, but anyway, no, it's definitely not the case. Trains is a deck building, area control game where you're putting stuff down on a large map. This one is just Mancala with cards in an airport. So the game looks similar to Trains, but definitely not the same. This game is much more casual than Trains. So if you were going to choose one or the other, I would go with this if you're casual. If you're looking for more of a deck builder / more of a strategy game, then I would go with Trains. But yeah, not a bad game. Just didn't wow me in any particular way. So yeah, there you have it. If you guys want to see my full written review, you can. www.dadsgamingaddiction.com. If you haven't already, subscribed to my YouTube channel. That way you can keep up to date with any new content I'm going to publish. This is Vince. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.